In today's video, I'm going to talk about something I never ever thought would happen, and the day has come where I actually hate a Marvel movie, and we're going to get into it right now. Okay, maybe hate is a strong word. I'm going to say severely dislike. And we're talking about Black Widow. So if you have not seen the movie, here's your spoiler alert, because I'm not even gonna bother trying to hide spoilers because the foolery and fuckery was too much. I'm gonna say I'm super disappointed because I really like Scarlett Johansson as actress, and I really like her as Black Widow. I feel like she gives the role what it needs to have. Like she's completing the assignment as far as like what in my mind Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff should be. However, I feel like they did her dirtier in this movie than they did in Endgame. In Endgame, she didn't even get a funeral. They didn't even give a damn that she just sacrificed herself. They mentioned her in one little cutscene like, oh yeah, that's sad about Natasha, huh? Just went on with their fucking lie where Tony Stark got a whole damn funeral. And they just bury her in some random unmarked, well, not unmarked grave, but they bury her in some random grave. And the disrespect that was done to her in that movie.
Put some respect on my name. You understand me? When y'all saying my name, put some respect on it.
Pales in comparison to what happened in this movie, okay? I was really excited for this movie because I thought we were finally gonna get behind the mask of who Natasha Romanoff is as a person. And her character, like a lot of women who kind of have to be strong or be in a field where they can't show really weakness or people underestimate them because they're female, that she has a very tough exterior. But it was a missed opportunity to get to peel behind those little layers and kind of see who the person really is without the badassery. And that's the only aspect of who she is as a person that they focused on. Like, yes, we know she's a badass, but I just wanted to delve more into the psyche of a person. And I felt like they did that, only not with the main character, with the sister. I feel like the sister in the story, the arc was for her, and her being presented as like, here is your new female big Marvel character. So this was Yelena's big moment to be seen in the MCU, and she's played by Florence Pugh. I think that's how you say her last name. Don't come for me. I have no problem with the casting or the characterization. She's fine or whatever. But I felt this was a Yelena movie and not a Black Widow movie, because the story was more focused on her and this whole idea of family. It just doesn't fit with what we've known about Natasha. I would have much rather been taken back to when she first met Clint Barton. And I would have liked to explore that dynamic, because that is essentially what we've seen as her core thread, so much so that she literally sacrificed her life for this man. It would have been a better served movie if we had got that backstory and not her faux Russian family that honestly I really don't give a shit about. And if you're gonna do a Russian spy movie, I'm thinking of just classic spy movies, you know, James Bond movies, or even characters like Nikita, or even Alias. I was expecting something like that. That is not what I got. What I bought and what I got, two different things. I really do feel like it was a missed opportunity to show this character in a different light. Instead, we got more of the same, where we have this kind of impenetrable badass with nothing really getting to her. And I know there's a case to be made where like her and the sister, they have this dynamic. Spare me. Two things. One, we've seen the dynamic of sisters who were raised together to be killers, and then they kind of hate each other, but then they find that we're back to each other and separated by circumstance, but in the end they ultimately work together to defeat the big evil, and their names are Nebula and Gamora. So we have already seen this storyline, and quite frankly, we've seen it done better. So I feel like Nebula and Gamora's dynamic as sisters and them playing off that relationship and being foils for one another as well as being mirrors for each other works way better and is way more dynamic and way more interesting than the storyline that I got with these two. Like, I don't believe that they were not giving me sister vibes. And yeah, they were trained in the Red Room to be assassins, but these two bitches were trained by Thanos, and they still were giving me like sibling rivalry. Like, even in the first Guardian of the Galaxy, before Nebula has her character arc transformation and becomes kind of like a good guy, if we'll say that, in the very first Guardian of the Galaxy movie, you already get that Nebula is super jealous of Gamora, and you already see that she has this real kind of almost like hatred for her because she is just so hell-bent on proving that she's better, because she's trying to get that approval from their quote-unquote father. And I just feel like that was so well done, and that was so much more believable because the tension and the drama was there, and I didn't believe it, and the tension and the drama was not there in Black Widow. I know this review or rant or whatever you want to call it is not going to be in any chronological order. I'm just kind of firing these things off in my head how they come, and I just had to get that out of the way first because that's the most glaring thing to me is, am I buying what you're selling? On the surface, I'm not buying what they're trying to sell me. So that's making the rest of the movie really hard to accept, because the main chunk of the story that you're giving me, I don't believe it. The thing is, they had great actors. I love Rachel Weisz, The Mummy 99. I feel like that's like a top tier movie, and I will debate anybody about that movie. That movie is a classic. I was happy to see her and she looked good, but she really didn't offer anything. I don't know, it was doing nothing for me. David Harbour, who I love in Stranger Things, he also was giving me very Uncle Rico.
Back in '82, I used to be able to throw a pigskin a quarter mile.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
His shield, you know, that he carries with him like a precious baby blanket, you know. I use it to my advantage. I take it, I push him out the window. I make my escape. Huh? What year was this?
I don't know.
Like 83, 84, you know? Captain America was still frozen in ice then.
While I get it for comedic purposes, it honestly didn't do anything give or take for the storyline. Like, it didn't progress my knowledge of the MCU further. It really didn't progress my knowledge of Natasha further. It just really didn't do anything for me. The fact that nothing changed about our relationship as an audience with Natasha from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie basically seems like everything that happened in the movie was basically filler. This whole movie should have been a Disney Plus show, because that kind of seems like the direction so far that we've seen with the Disney Plus shows. It's like they'll have all these wacky adventures in the middle, but in the end of the shows, it's kind of right back where we left them at the end of Endgame. And it's true for WandaVision, and it's also true for Falcon and Winter Soldier. So, like, if you've never even seen either one of those shows, you would pick right back up where you left those characters if Endgame was the last thing in the Marvel universe that you watched. And I feel the same about this Black Widow movie. There's nothing in this movie of consequence that I feel like we just needed to know. It's kind of like one of those kids in school. When you were in school, maybe you were that kid, the teacher's ragging on you because they know you can do better than what you just turned in. They're like, this is absolute shit. You're better than this assignment you just turned. You're better than how you're acting. And I feel like Marvel is better than this movie. And also, for all you other Marvel people out there, I better not ever hear anybody that watches Marvel movies ever say Thor 1 and 2 are bad. This movie is by far, I will watch both Thor movies. I was telling somebody, I'll watch Thor 1 and Thor 2 on a loop all day, every day before I watch this movie again. That is how much I disliked it.
-5 stars!
There was so much potential that was just absolutely wasted. And speaking of wasted potential, Taskmaster has to be the biggest waste of potential in a villain probably since Thor 2, because I wasn't really here for the elves in Thor 2 anyway, but that's a whole nother bag of cat. Although I love Christopher Eccleston because he is the Ninth Doctor, but that's also another bag of cats, so we'll move on. This Taskmaster was not giving me anything. I'm like, girl, get Marvel vs. Capcom 3 on the line, because this is not giving what it needs to give.
Thanks for the moves. Now get out of my face.
I was not here for it. They made Taskmaster a female, and there is this trend in movies, and I understand that maybe it's like changing the dynamic and supposed to be like an empowering thing, but to me it seems like a pandering thing. And if it's a woman protagonist, why is her antagonist always automatically is usually a woman? Certain instances it makes sense because that's like their biggest rival. There was no reason that Taskmaster had to be a woman. I mean, I guess, but there was no reason why that just couldn't have been a man, because the character didn't make any damn sense anyway, and the character really didn't do anything except for like the first, I don't know, scene of the movie where he's like chasing down off the bridge. That could have been generic villain number 2. If they had changed that to just a random generic villain, nothing in the plot would have changed. There was no reason that had to be Taskmaster. The big villain did not feel menacing. It did not feel threatening. It did not feel terrifying. They did not really give me the terror that I needed. The one character that is closely associated with Natasha Romanoff, Clint Barton, aka Hawkeye, we didn't see, except for at the end in the post-credit scene when they give Yelena an assignment to kill him, which makes no fucking sense. And as much as Natasha talked about Clint to her, because she mentioned it like, oh yeah, me and Barton did this and that, the fact that she mentioned all that, she had to have known how dear he was to her, so there's no way she can believe that he would be responsible for Natasha's death. But I'm pretty sure that's gonna be the whole premise for Hawkeye, and she's gonna be over there trying to wreck his shit until she figure out like what actually happened. And again, lazy. Maybe they're saving their little interaction for Hawkeye, and maybe Scarlett Johansson filmed some stuff as Black Widow for that. I haven't heard anything about that. And if there's nothing of her in that, I'm really gonna be pissed off, because that was a fucking waste. And it sucks that it's a female-led movie, mostly female leads in the movie, and the movie is not really up to par. And storyline wise, this is not gonna go down as one of the great Marvel movies. So thank you for watching this. I am recording this on my webcam, so I hope it looks okay. My camera light died, so I can't use my camera, so I'm stuck using this webcam. So I hope I look okay and everything kind of looks okay, because I've never used this before, so I don't know what it looks like. This is my first time really testing out my webcam, but I am going to be streaming soon, which is scary as shit. So I will be on Twitch. I'll put my Twitch here, so you definitely can go follow me over there, and I'm going to be playing some things right now. I'm gonna try to have a schedule doing it 2 days a week, maybe 3. It depends on how I feel, because I can't do a lot. I really can't do a whole lot. Even right now, like this is excruciatingly painful, and I'll have a whole story time about all that once I can talk about that. So stay tuned for that video and everything that's coming up, and I will see you in my